LVYC Life Pivot. I'm here with the wonderful Sharon. You want to tell her about yourself? I'm introducing a lot of different walks of life. The last episode we had an entertainer, aspiring artist. Today we have a real estate guru, financial literacy, funding specialist. Sharon, tell them a little bit about yourself.
My name is Sharon Moten. I am a mortgage broker. I've been in the industry for 25 years. Very passionate about what I do. I love what I do. I love helping people get homes or acquire real estate, be it commercial or investment properties. I love assisting first-time home buyers to create generational wealth. That's pretty much of what I have been doing for the last 25 years.
Wow, that's a lot of time. I mean, I know you told me you were doing it for a long time, but I didn't know it was that long.
Yes.
What would you say inspired you to go down that road or take that path to do what you're doing today?
Interesting. So I graduated from a fashion college in Long Beach. That's no longer. I graduated from there for fashion merchandising. So when I finished school, I went back home to San Diego, which is where my family was living. Decided that San Diego wasn't really the right fit because it wasn't really a place for fashion. So I decided to move to, I had an aunt that worked in television. She was a producer for Good Times and a few other shows.
Oh, wow.
So I moved out here to live with her to Marina Del Rey.
Wow. So
not even knowing what
So
Marina Del Rey
did she
was.
inspire you doing those cool creative things? Like what would you say, like, because you could have went anywhere else. Mm-hmm. So a part of her accolades of what she was doing, did that give you like a little to say, hey, I'm going to go test this direction here in California? Yeah,
she's always been inspiring to all of us, but especially to me because growing up, I grew up in a military family.
Got you.
So
a lot of discipline, a lot of rules.
A lot of rules. In fact, my father used to make us march.
That's funny.
If you can believe that. So very, very kind of strict upbringing, kind of sheltered a little bit when you're in a military family. You get kind of sheltered.
Restrictions, but it's good. It's discipline.
Mm-hmm, good discipline. So
organization.
I used to watch my mother, and I would say, "Oh my gosh, she's so beautiful." You know how you admire a parent. And my mother was very big into fashion. I used to watch her shop, hide clothes, with the furs back then, all of that. So I would admire that. So I think that kind of got me into the fashion industry at a young age. And she would also buy me specifically like perfumes and makeup and stuff like that as a kid to play with. And so I had a big imagination. So I would always dress up my dolls. I would make paper dolls and dress them in fashion. But to cut it off, when I graduated with my fashion merchandising degree, my aunt inspired me to move to the Marina because LA is a good fashion place.
Yep, the trend is here.
The trend is here. And I started my fashion career at a store called The Broadway back in the 80s.
Wow.
I don't know if you guys remember that store in Santa Monica.
Wow.
By the beach. I started there, and I started as a floater because I didn't want to just jump in. I'm the one that likes to start from the bottom, get my
baby
feet
steps.
wet. Yeah, take baby steps. Even though I could have come in maybe as a manager or whatever, I wanted to take baby steps to see where I'm going to go. So I started as a floater. I worked through the department store in different departments and linen, housewares.
And did you have any push to do anything that you were doing, or what would you say?
Mm-hmm. So I started there, and then they liked what I did. So eventually I got promoted to manager of the men's store. Nice. So I ran the whole men's division at the Broadway. And then eventually I got promoted again because one of my good friends, who happens to be the godfather of my daughter, he was the manager of cosmetics. And as you know, cosmetics is $1 billion business.
Facts.
So anyway, I got promoted. He left. I got promoted to take over the cosmetic department.
Nice.
So if you could imagine, I was dealing with a lot of women because every counter had
And
women.
at the time, were you driven because of the direction of your work? Were you driven to just make money? Like, would you say, were you guys poor, middle class, wealthy growing up? What would you say?
Oh, I would say in a military family, you're not poor. We kind of grew up middle class.
Gotcha. So middle class. So you weren't really driven so much for money, just more career path that you were into.
Mm-hmm. And
Gotcha.
more of a passion and more of being successful. I had that drive, that,
No, because that's huge.
That
that's
determination
huge.
to be successful. So I was successful. I took a cosmetic department from number 28 is where they were ranked up to the top 10. And that's $1 billion. Wow. So my thing was, and I know I was being a little biased, but I would hire, I don't know if I was known to hire pretty girls.
Tasteful.
Girls.
I think tasteful is a good word for it, because some people don't have the direction to know that matters. Mm-hmm. And they just pick off their own personal insight, but then sometimes that personal decision don't make the business thrive or what you're doing.
Right. So
that's huge.
So that was huge. So I did that. I did it successfully. I ran that department for a good 4 to 5 years, and then I decided I wanted to step down and work behind the counter. So I became an instructor for Lancome Cosmetics in Beverly Hills.
Gotcha.
And so what an instructor does for Lancome is that we are the face of Lancome. So we teach people the importance of skincare, and we teach you how to apply makeup. So basically, an instructor and a makeup artist for Lancome National. So we would be, and I have a really good story to go with that. So that I was successful there too. Became
and how long
manager.
did you dibble and dabble in that career?
In that career in cosmetics, I must have been like 10 years.
Oh, wow.
I did a total stint in retail for like 16 years.
Wow. So at what point, like the term pivot, because a podcast is called Life Pivot. That's a big pivot.
That's a big
pivot. You believe, because some people, I think they get it misconstrued of what it means or the true value of it. So do you believe in pivoting, or what's your take on pivot? Did you transition by coincidence? Did you have some hardship in your family? What made you change and get into real estate? From being so
Good
successful
question.
and it working, because sometimes people, they'll stay doing that for their whole life.
And I could have, and I could have had a.
So that's huge, especially if it was something that you were driven, passion, you're making good money, and you're actually thriving. So that's a huge pivot right there.
It was huge, and I met a lot of celebrities, did a lot of celebrity makeup, whatever. But to pivot, what caused me to pivot was I got pregnant at the age of 33.
So that is a huge pivot. Kids are shift, either make or break you. I mean, I'm living proof. Everybody that knows me, I'm a single parent, making it work every day. So that's huge.
It's huge.
So that was a life changer
change
for you right there.
To cause
your pivoting
pivot.
moment.
Because my daughter, I worked through cosmetics pregnant, even when she was born little, but I realized that having a child is so demanding, as you know.
Yep. Changes your day to day, your long-term perspective.
Everything changed. It's like, oh my God, my life is, and then I wanted to spend more time with her. And retail, as you know, it takes away a lot of your time. You're working long hours.
100%.
Sometimes you're working till 12 midnight or whatever. So I said, I had a friend, our daughters went to this school called Page in Beverly Hills. It was a private school at the age of 3. So our daughters were close friends. So I met him, and he was in the mortgage industry. So he goes, hey, Sharon, why don't you come try this out? It was a company called AmeriQuest. Why don't you try this out? It's less demanding. All you have to do is call people and do loans, and it's very easy.
And at first, did it start off as a full-time, part-time thing?
It was full-time calling. So I quit my job. I left my career, and I went to try this this new thing out that I had no idea, you guys, what I was.
Wow. That's a
I
big
had no
leap.
idea what I was doing. I didn't know
That's
what
a big
loan
leap
to
of faith.
value. Yeah, I didn't know what LTV was. I was just going. I was just following my lead person that was my mentor and going. But I still didn't understand the magnitude of
The full literacy of the business.
Yeah, the full literacy of the business.
But something fueled you though. I mean, what would you say? Because I know when I do transitional moves, it's something. It's either something I'm enthusiastic about, something I'm passionate about, something I'm inspired about. That's how I built everything, my lifestyle brand, this podcast, different things I've invested into. So what would you say the one thing that made you pick that path outside of like, you know, working at the bank or picking something else?
You know,
You ever thought about it or no?
I never really thought about it.
It's just a transition of life that made you pivot.
Yeah,
and
it was
you
my
pivoted with
daughter.
probably what was just around you and you had access.
And then I saw my friend that our kids went to school together. I saw him having some level of success with it. So I said, okay, let me try it. And then I saw the type of money you can make with it. So that was a little bit of a
So
motivation.
that was inspiring. You're like, okay, real estate is millions of dollars behind it. No, that's huge. That's
There's
huge.
a lot of money that you can potentially make. So I started there. And then I went to, when you're at AmeriQuest, you have to visit banks to get their turndowns or whatever, because it was a subprime company back then.
Build your relationships.
Build your relationships. So I started there, and then I was canvassing a bank called World Savings. You're probably too young to know what World Savings is. But anyway.
And would you say at the time, you being new to that career, where did you have any fear? Are you like good with people? Does it take people skills for the young people that's watching? You know, because like when we met, I saw you as like an empowering person. You know, I started getting into financial literacy. So sometimes some people are in career paths, they don't really want to be too open. And I think since the day we met, I always liked you. I liked your soul and your presence because you were always open with information and trying to like help, you know. And that was like a big part of why I even asked you to come on the platform, because I feel like a lot of people up and coming lack information. You know, me growing up, broken home, I should have been a statistic. If I wasn't a clever person, I probably would have been a statistic. And, you know, watching my mom work 2-3 jobs, that fueled me. And I feel like what I'm learning is, you know, money comes and goes, you know. What I'm learning is wealth is information.
Very good.
Information. So I feel like that's very powerful. It's a powerful tool that for you to get even more successful, you got to empower people under you. Or not necessarily under you, but like younger people, because, you know, we're getting grown, and I feel like a lot of what I have, or the ingenuity for me to be able to do what I'm doing, is I listen to elder people, and I'm in tune with younger people, and I'm learning a lot of the information that I'm able to interpret to the younger people. It comes back tenfold for me to have the resources, you know, like we fall asleep at a certain time. Guess what? Those young people are up.
Right.
And they say you're not making real money until you're making money in your sleep.
Right.
And that comes from working with other people. So like even businesses, you know, that hire this crazy staff, these people are working around the clock. So for you to thrive, I learned empowerment is very huge. So I love that direction. Is something that I've seen wealthy people doing. I'm like, okay, like, where do I start with the information? Can I please get a piece of the information? So that, I just want to let you know, is what fueled me to have you here today. So I love that you're able to express the story, because some people think that, you know, you could just wake up and get into stuff, and it's like, no, it don't just happen like that. And then even when you get into it, something got to still push you to keep going. So
And
I
it
think
was a journey.
This is huge for people to get an understanding.
Yeah, it's not easy, and you have to be a people person. You have to like people, because you have to communicate with people, and you can't communicate to people. I'm talking to the young people that like to hide behind their phones.
Yeah,
You
that's
cannot
not realistic.
communicate
Not realistic.
a $1 million deal through a text message. You have to, and you can't prospect.
Yeah, gotta have
$1
some type of
million
charisma,
deal.
some type of character.
Yeah. You can't prospect $1 million clients on a phone. You have to be present. So what I used to do, and I stopped doing it, was when I first really wanted to see, okay, I really want to know every realtor there is, and I live in San Fernando, in the San Fernando Valley. Let's just say, for instance. So I would go to broker openings every Tuesday and broker openings every Friday.
Hitting the ground.
Hitting the pavement, because that's what I was taught through my career at World Savings when I was an account executive. I had over 60 broker accounts. And to do that, you have to drive. Back then, we didn't have access to all the technology or whatever.
To reach
so you
people.
Literally had to
In a physical form and guerrilla market.
Yeah, and I had to do presentations for these offices, big offices, and I had to be present, and I had to be there. I had to do luncheon. So you have to like people. You have to like what you're doing. So eventually, that career, and I like to be challenged. So if you're young out there and you're listening to this and you're trying to decide what career you want, what worked for me, what got me out of my own way, was I had my VP tell me, you're not cutting it.
Got to step it up.
You need to do this, and that. Or you're not going to be here. And that was when I was at World Savings. So I was like, okay, he's challenging me. So
and at that point, how far into the career were you, would you say?
I was 99, 2001, 2, 3, 4 years into my career.
And even that, now let's say if you didn't have that fire, you probably would have to pivot again. Because what if they would have fired you, laid you off?
Then I would have had to pivot. So I did it. And like you said, I was so good at it. I was literally making money in my sleep. So as account executive, we could go in the office, play, whatever, go do our broker things. We're done by 2 or 3.
Wow.
And our day is done, right? So I have time with my daughter. I have time to do stuff. And then I sleep, and I'm still making money because my broker, my loan officers are making money, right? So I literally, that was a big motivation. Didn't realize how much money I was making until, you're not making it.
Yeah, you get in the zone working, and then you count at the end. That's what I tell people.
I must have made at least close to, I made a lot of money. Let's just say that.
Very inspiring. Very inspiring.
So here comes, we talked about this earlier. Here comes 2008. So everybody knows what happened in 2008. The market crashed.
Yep.
So here comes another pivot. Because the market crashed. Thank God.
Day-to-day work is not the same. People stressed out.
Everybody. So this is the funny thing, is that when everybody was getting laid off in our industry, in the mortgage industry, our company was sold to a company called Wachovia.
I remember Wachovia was who merged with Wells Fargo.
Yes.
And that was one of the first banks to tank. I remember getting an email because I was with them. That was one of the banks that I used for my first LLC. And I remember them emailing me, hey, we just crossed over. And like you said, that was a tip of the economy going down.
And so the people that owned World Savings was a husband and wife. They were attorneys. And they were from Wall Street. So they kind of knew what was going to happen with the market. They kind of had
a little inside
information,
stock tips and all that.
Yeah, so they knew. So they got out. But what they did, I was blessed, is that they gave us all a huge severance pay. So I didn't have to work for 2 years. Wow. So I was living off of my severance pay, and still had money even when I went back to work. But it was to the point where I didn't have to work. I could chill.
And like you said, all that craziness started because I remember, selling clothes on the side, in the nightlife, promoting, branding, studio. And I went from like 60, 70-hour work weeks to barely being able to bill the clients for 10 hours. And I remember working on a Friday. I think I broke up with my fiance, ended up getting a car accident, and my boss at the time, Mr. Johnny, I'll never forget, tapped me on the shoulder after a Friday, like an 8-hour shift, like, hey, your trainee that you trained him so good, we could pay him less to do your job. And that was my last 9-to-5 job that I had to pivot from. But luckily, I was a driven person. I'd already, you know, was tapping into other things. I had just started my LLC, a diesel group company that I shopped a watch to Lil Wayne and Cash Money at the time. His manager at the time was like, Tez, shout out to Tez, was like, man, I don't have anything on paper. You know, me and my barber / business partner at the time that introduced it to them, we were supposed to walk away with like a 2.5% split. The people that owned the watch outright, they didn't want Wayne to endorse it exclusively because he was just one genre of music. And that's how I kind of like catapulted into everything that I started doing creatively, because my back was against the wall. I got laid off, and I was like, all right, I gotta, whatever I was doing part-time had to become full-time for me to survive.
Right.
So 2008, that year was one of my craziest years, but it was one of my biggest pivotal years to get me here. Everything that I'm doing today, I think I envisioned then, and I had to get in the car and hit the gas to get to where I'm at right now. Yeah. So that was a very crazy time, and a lot of people didn't make it from that time. No. Either you were able to excel forward, or you didn't recover. Some people haven't recovered from that
They're
time.
still trying to recover, and a lot of people. So after I went back to work in 2010, but I went back onto the back end. I did short sales because the market crashed and everybody was short selling their home.
Quick turnaround. Quick
or they
turnaround.
were either walking away from their home, just like you live in your house. They would just leave it.
Wow.
And let the bank take it. Wow. Just because it was too much pressure.
That was a pivotal time.
No one could make their mortgage payment. So when I pivoted to short sales and Wall Street collapsed, there was a lot of people that I had to pray with. There was a lot of people that killed themselves during that time. People were jumping.
I remember CEOs were doing some very bizarre stuff.
It was a very dark, very, very dark time. So you had to have some type of strength to 100%. Be able to handle it.
It weathers you. I feel like that era, I was so exposed. It weathered me for COVID and weathered me for now. So a lot of people are like, oh, you're not freaking out?
No.
I experienced it. I remember living in a building that's where I knew the economy was in a weird situation. Everybody was like, I saw middle class getting removed in 2008, because I remember living in a high-end building that we couldn't afford, but because we had these high-end resources, we were able to afford it. We were subleasing like a $12,000 a month penthouse for $4,000. That's how weird the economy was. It had these high-level resources that was able to get us in there, but then when we left our penthouse, everybody was stressed out and depressed.
How do you do a 12,000?
I mean, that was before Airbnb. We just had high-end realtors that at the time, these ball players would buy these places in Miami that they would come to seasonal that they were under. So that ball player at the time, I think he played for the Washington Redskins. I remember the mail would come to the house. He was happy to take the $4,000 instead of nothing. The building was 90% unoccupied at the time, where it was such a topsy-turvy time that it threw off people's assessment in the building, because it wasn't like people were buying these pre-construction, they build a building, and then there's no valet in the building for a high-end luxury building. So people start going under and getting balloon payments because, you know, the association and everything start getting adjusted because it was set for 100% occupancy. So this building's not occupied. You guys are going to be paying a $2,000-$3,000 association. Some people, the association at the time, why people was going under, it was more expensive than their mortgage because nobody could afford it.
Right.
You know, nobody could afford it, and you're vested into this investment. So I learned from that time, and then when COVID happened and all this stuff, I felt that same thing in my stomach. That's what made me buy real estate then. Because I already weathered it and I didn't know what to do. If I had the financial literacy, if somebody could told me, hey, use every single asset, go get 10 loans and stay here.
Right.
That building at the time was, you know, probably going for about $10,000 a month, $12,000 a month. The last time I talked to the realtor, she said she rented the place for $14,500 a month. So that's like a 10x from the $4,000 we was paying to $14,000 a month.
That's crazy.
That I probably could have owned it. Probably could have walked away with a couple $100,000 in equity plus by now if I had the literacy to know. So me going through that hands-on experience myself with nobody teaching me, I just start clinging to financial literacy outlets online for me to learn. So that's why when I met you, I was already on that train of like learning, trying to empower myself and build from it, because nobody's going to be like, hey, just wake up and do this. So I had to take the initiative, and I was like, whatever I got, let me invest into real estate. And that was one of the best pivotal decisions I ever made in my life. You know? And I'm grateful for going through that time in 08 to 012, because it lasted for about 4 years. And it sharpened me, and I learned a lot. So now, you know, no matter where the world goes, the economy goes up and down, that was one of my biggest pivotal moments. And it taught me, like, sometimes when things aren't going right, it's for a reason. You gotta just, like you said earlier, getting out of your own way to just pivot and let other opportunities come to fruition. Because if I didn't make those moves, if I didn't leave Florida, I would have been there peeling my tires. So I'm grateful for the hands-on things not working, because it catapulted me now to have the information. So I'm like excited to see what the next 10 years looks like, because I'm like, okay, I'm way more advanced now.
Right.
And not only can I make these moves, but I can empower people around me to make these moves to excel.
Exactly. And
So
that's what I like to do, is empower.
That is very huge.
Empower people with knowledge.
Yes, because it's a blessing, even away from like just monetizing financially. You're empowering people, and we're getting blessings through it. So I'm happy to have you here today, because I feel like it's important for people to know, like, hey, you thinking about getting these career professions, this, that. At least we can like elaborate a little bit on what it takes from start to finish, because people don't know, or people see me doing things and they think I just wake up and, oh, okay, this guy just
make moves.
Yeah, and just make moves. No, there's a whole history of work, setbacks, things not working, for me to be able to be like, all right, you know what? I'm fearless to take the bull by the horns, because when you coming from nothing, even on my worst day, everything is up. Like today is up. Today you might reach, you know, with this platform, who knows what other clients. Right. And growth and empowering, and somebody might DM you, because I get these DMs all the time online. Hey man, this quote made my day. How are you not stressed out like everybody else? Well, you know what? You probably haven't went through half of what I went through. If you're stressed out today, I've been stressed out for whatever time, so I'm weathered. So yes, I have stress, but my stress and somebody's stress are two totally different things. You know, once you've been weathered with things that you go through, I don't think people are better than each other. I would say everybody's at different levels of what they've experienced. So that's very important for you not to judge people, because you don't know what they've went through. Because I didn't even know this history. I thought you just probably went to school for real estate and this, that. So this is actually enlightening that you came today, because it actually broadens everything. And for you to have the hands-on, is not just you sitting behind a desk doing what you're doing. It takes people skills, charisma, relationships, all of that. You know,
it takes a lot of drive. I mean, if you're going to get into the mortgage business or real estate business, you have to have that drive, and you have to have that, be able to communicate.
Yep.
And like
discipline.
Said,
so give thanks for that military. That's where that military comes.
I think that's where the military comes.
If your family was just another type of family, I was just like, all right, Sharon, go outside, whatever. You probably wouldn't be able to stay disciplined to reap the benefits of this path. No. Same thing with me. You know, my mom is a Leo, very disciplined person. Yeah. So that kept me stern. It kept me frugal with money. You know, I seen the struggle. So I'm like, okay, why the hell would I want to go back to the struggle? So it's always made me make keen investments. So I feel like this is huge, and this is what people need to hear and understand. And this is really why I created this platform, not just for the likes, the views. It's actually to empower and just, drop some gems. I mean, I see people, I know that I'm up sometimes till 3 a.m. getting an understanding for stuff. So I'm excited to have you, and I really appreciate having you here today because you've elaborated on a lot. Mm-hmm. So whenever you get a chance, you want to tell people how to reach you online.
I do land loans. So if you want to buy land and you want to build on the land, I do that. I do ground up. I finance ground up construction. I finance commercial. I finance SBA loans. So if you're a small business owner, I can help you out.
See, very important. This is why I had you here today, just so you know.
And the newest, I'm getting ready to pivot again, you guys. I'm getting ready to pivot. I just been approved to open up my own branch. So I'm getting ready to pivot and open up my, thank you. I'm so excited. So that pivot is mainly for everybody, but my niche is investors because they're the ones that are buying a lot of properties, investing, multi-units. I want to cater to them. So I'm looking to build a strong team of mini-me's. And I say mini-me's
if you're hungry, you got dedication, you got willpower, leadership skills, reach out to us.
Hit
the subscribe button, follow us, DM us, and Sharon, you want to tell them how to reach you online?
Yes, I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram. My name, Sharon Moten. I'm on Facebook. My name, Sharon Moten. I'm on TikTok as Shay Mortgage Broker. And I'm on LinkedIn as Sharon Moten. So those are all, to me, the most important platforms that I need to be on right now. And you can reach me on any one of those platforms. If you're interested in getting anything financial literature on how to do a mortgage, or you want to be a mortgage investor, please feel free to DM me on any one of those platforms.
Yep, you got to start somewhere.
You have to start somewhere.
And it starts with the information. Everybody listening. Very important.
Yes, so it starts with information, listening, and taking that information. What you do with that information is on you.
It's up to you.
But generational wealth, the power of real estate is very powerful. And I know if you prefer to rent, that's okay. But remember, you're paying one of my investors that I financed. You're making them richer. I look at their paper. I see the numbers. So
generational wealth, they say, starts with one risk taker.
One risk taker. So I have something to leave to my daughter. I have one daughter. So I'm already starting generational wealth with her. I'm sure you're doing the same thing with your family
100%,
as well.
100%.
Creating that wealth. So it just starts. I didn't buy my house until 2006. The market crashed in 2008. And mind you, I was a mortgage, in the mortgage business when I bought it, not thinking that I thought, oh, I'm untouchable. I'm untouchable, but I wasn't untouchable. So I bought it in 2006. The market crashed in 2008. I had to do some modification with my lender, which I'm still able to keep my home. I've been here for 17 years now in my house. So it's been a journey for me, but it's also been a blessing for me. So again,
you got to give thanks for it all, the highs, the lows. That's what builds us.
And there's been some lows, low.
They said that's what builds character.
Highs, but it's built my character, and I've been around for a long time, and I am who I am. So I would love to get to know anybody out there that's looking to get into financing real estate.
No, I appreciate it, and that's why I had you here today, because I feel like this is very pivotal information now with the world being in this weird space. You guys feel free to start somewhere. You are your own hero. So thank you, Sharon, for having you.
Thank you for having me.
I love the gems that you dropped, and trust me, you guys watching, don't be scared to take risks. She told you she had to pivot multiple times to get where she's at, and start listening more and become doers. You guys want the results that you see people doing. Stop just following people online and wake up and take the risks. That's how I got where I'm at. That's how she got where she's at. And this is why we're creating this platform to empower and grow and continue to drop gems and give information. So stay tuned. another perfect episode of LVYC Life Pivot. Stay tuned. Thank you for having me, Sharon.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
God bless.
God bless.
Yep. Another dope episode. LVYC Life Pivot. Thank you, guys. Stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button.